It's Stu here. And Lee, we got to say thank you, first of all, for that great new introduction.
Well, yeah, we've got to say thank you very much to one particular person who lent her wonderful southern twang to the whole thing.
Yes, Miss Chastity Taylor.
Yeah, the ring announcer for Shine and Sparkle and CWF Mid-Atlantic is also introducing us on the show, and quite frankly, it's an honour.
Yes, and while she introduces us, we get to introduce our guest. And our guest on this show will be Ivelisse Velez.
Somebody who I find very interesting, I think is the best way to describe it.
That's just as well, it'd be a short interview otherwise.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
But no, we've followed Ivelisse's career for a little while. I mean, she came to worldwide notoriety as part of Tough Enough, and obviously got signed to WWE afterwards. She's been doing her thing on the indies. She's had a little brief Gutcheck flirtation in TNA, and I think she's really sort of like proving her worth now on the indie circuit, having some good matches, turning a lot of heads, and a lot of people sort of have a lot of good things to say about her now. So figured it was a good time to try and, I guess, check in with her and see how her life's going.
Yeah, she's done a lot very quickly, and she's doing exactly what you kind of need to do as far as your progression is concerned. Her profile's rising, she's taking on lots of different styles of matches, different places, and it's good for her.
Yes. And that's going to be Shine this weekend, well, Friday night, for the Shine title tournament. And you can order that on wwnlive.com. We'll talk more about that as the show goes on. But as far as the website's concerned, I want to say thank you, first of all, for everybody for the great reaction and feedback that we got to the last podcast, which is with Alison Danger. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that yet, go back and check it out. If you're a fan or if you're in the business, if you're a wrestler, go and check that out. She's got a lot of really sort of educational stuff to talk about, and she talks at length about her health and, obviously her stroke earlier in the year, the lesions on her brain, and how she's still coping with that and how she'll probably have to cope with that for the rest of her life.
Yeah, this is one of these podcasts which I think there's something in there for everybody, whether you're a fan, whether you're maybe training to be a wrestler, maybe you've been wrestling for a little while. There's probably something in there that Alison Danger's saying which aims itself at you.
Yes, so check that out. And apart from that, on the website this week, we've been doing our now annual. We can say that because it's the second year we've done it.
Just about
our now annual good half year series. So at the end of June, start of July, we start to catalogue and profile some of the women who we thought have had a really particularly good 6 months. And if you go to the website now, check that out. Most of them are going to be on the front page still. We've got a bunch of people. They're all there for different reasons as well, but they're all people who've had really good years so far.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like you've won a lot of titles or you've been main eventing shows or you've been having the best wrestling matches. It's not that all these people all have one criteria. There's different ranges of things, and it just depends on the direction which we're looking at it. And there are quite a few directions. Some of them are as far as profiles, some of them are as far as exposure, some of them are down to the wrestling or the title wins. But you can't really put very fixed criteria on what makes a good period of time for somebody. No,
I mean, and these are our personal choices as well, and you can see that as well. But the only criteria that you can really just say is have they finished the first half of 2013 in a better position than they started 2013? And I guess that's the only sort of major criteria. Everything apart from that's down to our personal just translation of that. And we've got on the list so far. The ones that I've written, we've got Ayumi Kurihara, who, she's retiring this year. This seems like the worst choice for someone who's having a good 2013, but she's someone who's going out with just an opportunity to put a career's worth of memories into her last 6 months, and she is going out with one of the most impressive sort of final retirement roads I've ever seen.
Yeah, on the flip side as well, you've got someone like Mickie James, for example, who had a pretty slow 2012 in general and has come back. She's got this new storyline. She's got a heel turn. Everything just seems to be clicking for her. It's you can tell it's a real resurgence for her compared to what happened last year when she had halted storylines and health problems and things like that.
You want to talk health problems, you want to talk Madison Eagles, who didn't wrestle at all in 2012. And Madison Eagles is the sort of person who, probably wouldn't be on this list most of the time because she always works at such a high level that, she's a good half year every half year. But considering that this January to June period, she's come back from injury, she's come over to America and just wowed everybody with her performances on Shimmer and Shine. She's gone right back up in everybody's estimation again. Everyone realizes how good Madison Eagles always was.
Someone who didn't exactly get injured, but did take a battering for pretty much the first 4 months of the year because she was wrestling all over the world. She was wrestling in Japan, she was wrestling in Canada, she was wrestling in the US. Kelly Skater, I'm talking about, she had a huge amount of success wherever she was going. She's been doing more work in Stardom. She was also working for Wave. She wrestled around Canada. She worked Femme Fatale. She did Shimmer. She won the tag titles at Shimmer in a fantastic storyline as part of a 3G against the Canadian Ninjas. I mean, undoubtedly, she was the first person who I thought of as far as a good 6 months when we were putting all this together.
Yeah, I remember she was actually like the first person I think we probably agreed on. Also on the list, Heidi Lovelace. She's one of the ones who we said that maybe aren't as well known as most people. But hopefully, though, if you've been following this website for any length of time, she is someone who you're aware of because we've covered a lot the storyline that she's been doing with Taylor Hendricks and OVW. There was a Fight Like a Girl audio show with her a couple of months ago as well. It's about half an hour where she explains about the year that she's had. And she's had some really just strong breakout performances. I remember in 2012, Lee, you'll back me up on this one, but there were a few times where I said to you, I like Heidi Lovelace, but she just hasn't really had those really good matches yet that sort of like I can see everything sort of falling into place. And 2013 is the year where she sort of like wowed people and genuinely had good matches. And so it's kind of like all the constituent parts were there, but 2013 she's actually like, I think a switch is flicked in her brain.
Yeah, definitely. Just things are starting to click for her. And also, just finally, for the six that we're talking about, the other one who's had a lot of things starting to click for her is Nikki Storm. She's been all over the shop. She's been wrestling everywhere. She regained the Pro Wrestling Eve title by having a great match with Emi Sakura in February. She was wrestling in Japan. She managed to defend the title in Japan. She made her debut for Bellatrix and had a sweet knee injury spot, which even fooled some of the workers themselves. It just seems like everything's kind of falling into place as far as Nikki Storm is concerned. She is now one of the most reliable people when you're thinking about wrestlers in Europe.
Yeah, and I think of those six, Kurihara apart, who is retiring in August, I think pretty much everybody else can probably look at the second half and think, they can build even further.
Yeah, absolutely. But like we're saying, these are only the just six that we picked out to really focus on. We do have more in the a good half year for a few others section that we've got, where ones that we think did really well, but just didn't make that final criteria of giving the extended write-ups to. But there's 13 names in there, so there's probably going to be one of your favourites in there, and quite right too. There's nothing against what they've done. It's just that we had maybe more to discuss with other people.
Yes, we've only got a week after all. Okay, before we bring on Ivelisse for our interview, we'll just mention quickly as well, over the past weekend we had a big show. Femme Fatale ran Femme Fatale 12, and it was an interesting show. It looked like a really good show on paper. We haven't seen it yet. We weren't there, unfortunately. But from live reports, there were some really, really good matches. I think a lot of people seem to be talking about the match between cheerleader Melissa and Courtney Rush, which ended in a double disqualification as being the match of the night, if not the return of LuFisto against Kimberly.
Yeah, so I understand as well. Sweet Cherry had a great main event against Mercedes Martinez, and I think that was quite interesting as far as Sweet Cherry being in that main event, because I guess people who maybe aren't so au fait with women's wrestling in Montreal might say that's a bit of a strange choice to be going up against Mercedes, but from the accounts that we've had, it looks like she was totally deserving of the spot, and it all worked out for the best.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. It's people who don't necessarily know wrestling in Montreal. You might think Sweet Cherry, really? But for that crowd in that building, she would have been a legitimate contender, and it sounds like they had a pretty damn good match as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the great thing is about this show is already we now know 3 matches that are going to be taking place for Femme Fatale 13 on October the 26th.
Yeah, going to be a main event of LuFisto and Sweet Cherry. That's the pupil and teacher tag team. And they're going to be taking on Mercedes Martinez and Saraya Knight, returning to Femme Fatale.
Also, because of the match that we were talking about with Melissa and Courtney, which ended in a double DQ, they are going to wrestle again at Femme Fatale 13.
Yes. And they're going to try and do Portia Perez versus Pink Flash Kira once again. This is like the most difficult match to get a finish in.
This has been going on for a year.
that I've ever seen. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they tried to do this at Femme Fatale 10 and Portia walked out then. But on October 26th at Femme Fatale 13, it's going to be Portia Perez versus Pink Flash Kira. There's going to be a strap involved, and there's going to be lumberjills around the ring as well to make sure she can't get away.
That's probably about all the criteria that you can possibly have to try and keep Portia in the ring.
No kidding. But yeah, that's going to be on DVD hopefully in the coming months before the Open Female Fight season show. But if you want to check out any of the other Femme Fatale shows, they have a new US website as well. And from what I understand, the DVD of the last show, not this show but the one before, was on sale at the weekend and will be in the online store this week.
Speaking of DVDs, it's probably a good way for us to segue into paying some bills quickly. You might notice that on the website we have our rotating adverts for getting DVDs from highspots.com. The reason why we've got that is because if you click on that link, go into Highspots and buy a DVD from there, we get a little bit of a kickback. And that will help to keep the site free for everybody. And it just means that we can have fewer adverts on the site. I mean, on the High Spots page right now, you've got the Girl Fight Wrestling, you've got Bombshell Ladies of Wrestling, the latest Shimmer DVDs, there's Femme Fatale like we were talking about, Joshi for Hope, WSU, there's a lot on there to pick from. And if you click on that link and go through to the website that way, we get a little bit of a kickback, everybody's happy, you get your DVDs, we get to keep this site free for everyone.
So there you go. Now, without further ado, because there's been plenty too much of ado already, it's time to bring on our guest for this show. We're going to have a little bit of music, and when we come back, we are going to be joined by Ivelisse Velez. Okay, and we are back now with our guest at this time. We are very pleased to welcome someone who this Friday on WWNlive.com at Shine 11, Shine's first anniversary show, will be part of the first Shine title tournament. We're talking about Ivelisse Velez. Ivelisse, hola!
Hey, what's up? Hola, ¿qué es la que hay? ¿Cómo estamos?
Bien? No,
yeah,
I don't know. That's it.
We're all out now. That's it.
Yeah.
No, come back. Come
on. My Spanish extends to hola and the names of lucha libre moves. And that's about it. So
uno cerveza, por favor.
Oh, God.
No, dos cervezas, you cheap bastard.
Yeah, only dos, because I don't like beer.
Fine, okay. So let's get it back on track. We're already off track. We're only seconds into the show. This is a new record.
Hooray!
Ivelisse, we got you on to talk about all sorts of stuff, but primarily because this coming weekend is going to be the Shine first anniversary title tournament, of which you're going to be a part. And
win.
Well, obviously.
Of course.
You've got a longer road, though, because you've got to go through another qualification four-way first.
Yeah, that's pretty annoying. The last, my original qualifier didn't go as expected, but I'm going to make sure that this time nothing and absolutely nothing goes wrong.
There you go. I mean, as far as Shine's concerned, you've worked Shine quite a few times now, and I think it's probably the place where you're getting most eyes. You get a lot of people watching on iPPV from around the world, a lot of people getting to see you wrestle, and you've had some really good matches there so far. I mean, even your debut against Athena, you came in straight with a really good match. A lot of people thought it was the best match of the night.
Oh, cool. I had unfortunately, I did not win my debut match. But I guess maybe I made a statement, coming in. I didn't win it, but I made a statement with the match, and how I performed in nearly breaking her arm off, which was quite fun. But yeah, and all the matches after that were pretty good too. And I specifically loved the match I had with LuFisto. That one flowed pretty well. I'm pretty sure that there could be a rematch in the future, hopefully. I look forward to continuously, bringing that same kind of quality and keep raising the bar each time I go in there.
The feeling was very much mutual as far as LuFisto was concerned, because we talked to her 2 podcasts ago, and she really put over that match. She said how much she enjoyed working with you.
That's I had a great time. I believe, according to everyone's response and reaction so far, everyone loves that. That's their favorite match of me and Shine. Like I said, I'm looking forward to keep bringing that kind of quality into Shine.
It sounds like you kind of got into a rhythm now as far as Shine is concerned. That you've been able to have people get to know you. You've got to know how the promotion is and stuff. Do you feel really comfortable now wrestling in Shine?
I feel very comfortable. I'm really glad. That's the okay. I just wanted to figure out a way to word it correctly. I love that about Shine. That I feel comfortable there, not just because of the environment. It's a great environment and it's a great show, but also I'm able to present my character more genuinely. While I was in WWE, I did not have that opportunity. I had to follow whatever was given to me, and all the flip-flopping all the time in the developmental territory of heel face, and just there wasn't anything set where I could bring out my character, or at least I didn't get to. I actually, right before I was released, I had a package set that was going to be released, and what was going to finally be me, Ivelisse, my character, and unfortunately that never aired. So no one really had a clear idea of what my character was, of what Ivelisse was really about. And at least I feel like in Shine I'm able to do that. So that feels like that's awesome to me,
It's got to be a good place for learning as well, because not only do you get these matches against veteran wrestlers like LuFisto, and you had a match against Jazz as well at Shine 9, but also you're teaming up with your buddies in Valkyrie as well. You've got to be absorbing a lot of good information from a lot of people who've been around the business for quite a while.
Yeah, and I could agree with that. Regardless of the amount of time I've been wrestling in this, all around Puerto Rico, U.S., Mexico, whatnot. It's 9 years almost now, which is crazy. It sounds ridiculous to me because I'm only 24, but I still believe I'm the type of person that I believe that you can, you always strive to learn more and more, and you can always learn from anybody. Doesn't matter how much experience they have. You can always learn something from someone.
Sure, and there's got to be a different mindset on the independents than there would have been in NXT, I suppose, right?
In terms of what?
In terms of working style, there's more freedom to work on the indies than there would have been in WWE, where, like you say, you were more put in a box.
Yes, I definitely cherish that freedom a lot. I had once, when I was signed, I was especially because of what they, I was told many times, with you, we have to pull you back. Usually we have to try to bring stuff out, from talent. And with you, you're the type of talent that we have to hold back. And I'm like, why? No, what the hell are you talking about? I want to be able to fly, to try to go to higher grounds, with what I do. And I went in there with that expectation, that I would go there and I would be able to, finally be able to show everything I got and da-da-da, but it wasn't like that. And unfortunately, I wasn't able. There were some times that I was able to, and then there were more times that I wasn't. And I hated to hear like, oh, you don't wrestle like a guy. Like, we want you to wrestle like women and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, man, are you serious? Like, my whole entire career, I focused on wrestling just as good as the guys. And then I'm told now that I finally make it that I have to, switch it up and be girly and all that. And I'm like, it was a little frustrating. So, but I'm just really, really glad that now I'm back to that freedom and I can just try to present the best quality possible to the fans.
When you said that they said you'd have to pull you back, was that just as far as your wrestling was concerned, or was it also as far as personality was concerned? Like, because you're quite a boisterous personality, and did they want you to be much more timid as far as a performer? Because that seems counterintuitive to what you would think they'd be trying to do.
It's the memories. I definitely on the ring work, for sure. And then on the personality side, I was told that I was too rough. That I had to soften up and be more like sexy. And I mean I could do that. It's not like I can't, but my personality is not like that. Like, I could act that for a certain specific role or a certain scene or something. Like, I could act that out, or I can act all sexy and Latina-y, spicy, hot, blah, blah. Like, I could do that. But as far as wrestling is concerned, in a wrestling setting, that's my character. I'm very rough. I'm very, like, almost tomboyish and like in your face and intense, and that's my character. And whenever I was trying to be me and trying to be my character, I was told that, okay, you're too rough, or you're too tomboyish, or blah blah blah. So it was a little frustrating. And not all, because that's the thing about it. Like, it's not everyone who saw me or me being my character, everyone of the WWE officials or evaluating people. It's not like all of them said the same thing, but the person that evaluated me most often did. And even like when I got to NXT, like other officials had a different opinion about that, though. So it's kind of a very hard environment to like try to find your own persona, or try to bring out your own persona, because everyone has so many different, like, one person may love it, one person may hate it, and it'll just keep flip flopping, and then you're just like, well, can I just be me? And but because once I got to NXT, it's like, oh, I love that about you. I love that Puerto Rican, like that, whatever swag or whatever, like, that's different and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, well, crap, well, can I just do it? And then it just never happened. And I don't know, that's how it works, or how it worked for me. Everyone's different, but at least that's how it was for me.
Well, everyone's different, but I mean, it seems that in this case, difference is not valued. They want you all to sort of conform to what they expect women to wrestle like.
Yeah, that's the big contradiction. Of it.
I mean, your style, as you were saying, is very rough and so on. I mean, and the word I was thinking of as you were talking about that was another of my little Spanish words, rudo, or ruda, I guess I should say. And you've been wrestling a bit this year down in AAA for Perros del Mal. How have you found that as far as style is concerned? Because stylistically, lucha is pretty much different to everything.
Oh yeah, I got a big wake up call when I went to Mexico. I mean, as far as like the actual wrestling moves and wrestling pace and that stuff, I had that down. But what I didn't know once being there was like all the rules are different, and like that's what kind of threw me off. I was like, well, I mean, I wish you could have seen my face. I was like, I know I learned like, I know how to speak Spanish, yet I felt like I was being spoken Chinese. Like, I was like, wait, what? Wait, I can't do that. Or wait, how am I supposed to do this? Or how am I supposed to do that? I'm not allowed to do, wait, what? They're like, no, it doesn't matter. Here's different. Or I was like, what? And I'm like very, very like, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to like all that stuff. Like, you know, the American way of rules mean everything and all that. So like, to me, it was like, okay, crap. So I definitely got to learn more about the rules. And I actually am about to go to Mexico this weekend, this Sunday for WWL. I'll be facing Talia Valkyrie, and hopefully this weekend I can learn a couple more stuff about their set of rules, or no rules at all, I guess. Yeah, and actually I want to clear up, because it usually keeps coming up. I haven't wrestled for AAA yet. I was wrestling for Perros del Mal, but I haven't wrestled particularly specifically for AAA yet. It's very, very possible that sometime soon it could happen. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up.
Sure.
Well, just wondering, what were the rules which you heard that were sort of throwing you off because they just seemed so strange to you? Can you give us a couple of examples?
Well, definitely the tagging in. Like, people could come into the ring and there's two people inside while they're hitting. Like, let's say if I have a tag partner and I'm like in the corner and my tag partner's in there and the other two people are beating the crap out of my partner and I'm just standing there in the corner like just watching, like, what? And they could just come in and just be in there hitting the person inside and no counts. They're not counting the person, or no tag. There wasn't even a tag in the corner and they just come in and that's how they would tag, or like everyone all together in the ring for like a very long period of time, and just like, whoa. Like I said, it made my head hurt because I'm such a perfectionist with all the details of all the rules and all that. So that's what threw me off.
Cool.
Thing about it is, though, I mean, people know of you obviously more recently from your time in WWE and Shine and so on. But like you said, you've been wrestling for 9 years. Did you say?
Yes, that's crazy. I started when I was 15.
And this is in Puerto Rico, yeah?
Yeah.
What was the training like then in Puerto Rico, and how did you get in as a 15-year-old girl in Puerto Rico? How do you start training as a wrestler?
Oh God, that was I was still in high school, and I had a friend in my high school that had an older brother that was doing independent wrestling, and that's just kind of, hey, just got the information and just kind of started training. Just a really random local, like, training, whatever. But eventually, obviously, as you network and stuff, and then I met a more solid known wrestler in the island, and I trained with him for a couple months. And then not long after I was training, I debuted on WWC, Carlos Colon promotion, on TV, and then just kind of was on a roll with that, and it just kicked off. It was kind of weird because throughout the week I would be studying in high school, and the weekends I'd be doing wrestling, so it was pretty hectic schedule. I was an honor student and my grades went down a little bit, which was frowned upon, but whatever, I was doing my dream, but I still managed to graduate an honor student. I went from high honor student to honor student, but whatever. And I gave up scholarships. I gave up scholarships like an idiot to continue wrestling. And, well, here I am.
No regrets yet, no?
I don't know. I question that all the time. When I wake up and I feel like a 34-year-old woman with messed up, like, shoulder or back or whatever, I'm like, ugh, did I make the right choice?
You wait until you're 34 and answer that question.
Oh, God.
What would you have been doing then if you hadn't been wrestling with all these scholarships and stuff? What was the plan?
I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to study exactly, but I knew it. I wanted to do something with animals. I'm a huge animal lover. Usually my side jobs, like shoot jobs, have usually always been like animal related. Like I've worked in PetSmart and I've worked in different like animal stores or whatever. But yeah, that's what possibly could have been my path if I hadn't chosen to go full head on to wrestling with all odds against me.
Now, when you were in Puerto Rico, were you Juliette the Huntress at that point, or was it Sexy Juliette at that point?
Oh, God. When I started in Puerto Rico, I was told that I would be called Sexy Juliette, so I had to run with it. And, yeah, I hated it, but oh well.
Did you manage to change it then over time to Juliette the Huntress?
So yeah, once I left Puerto Rico and I came to the U.S. to Chicago, I just obviously chalked off that sexy part and I just went with Juliette the Huntress.
I just find it's funny that you talk about how much you're an animal lover, but you became Juliette the Huntress.
The Huntress, like I'm hunting.
Exactly, yeah. There's poor animals.
Right, whatever. No, I actually good. That's a good point. The thing is, I kind of got the idea of the Huntress, the whole whatever, from the goddess of hunt, which is Artemis, and she actually protects animals, and she protects them even though she hunts, but it's just because that's just nature. She protects animals. From the wilderness and whatever it was a mixture of that and the character from Elektra,
from Daredevil.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So why the move to Chicago though? Like, what happened that you ended up uprooting yourself?
I went to Chicago. It was the only place that I had family. And I had nothing. Right before I moved. I because of that, because I chose to give up my scholarships and pursue on this voyage of you barely get paid in Puerto Rico, even if you're on TV and everything, from wrestling. I was really, really struggling. After I graduated from high school and whatever, I was really, really struggling and I basically had nothing and I was like at my end and I just said I have to go to the US because I'm, falling apart. So, I came to the US, to Chicago, like I said, because, I was the only place I had family there. As soon as I got to Chicago, within a week I had 2 jobs, started working and blah blah blah, and just went from there and started way from all the way from ground zero. Had to network all over again and try to start from the bottom up all over again when it comes to wrestling. So thankfully it didn't take that long.
Yeah, I mean, how long were you working the Chicago Indies before sort of the Tough Enough thing came along then? How many years were you sort of toiling as an indie wrestler there?
I would say about 3-ish.
It's a busy scene in the Chicago area, though, isn't it? So I'm assuming you had quite a lot of options of places to be booked.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, I was I was still, even though I was just starting up and whatnot, I was still very choosy of where I would wrestle and whatnot, but there was definitely quite a lot of options.
And so then after those few years of work in Chicago Indies, the Tough Enough thing came along. I mean, the first question that I have with regards to that is, I mean, how did you get to know about it and how did you get involved in the audition process?
Well, I had received a request or whatever, a message, like someone from the casting that was looking for people had messaged me, and I had also from an ad that I had seen, I don't even remember where, but I had sent out an email, and they like more or less within the same days, it was kind of like the same but in reverse. So by the time I had been answered on the email that I had sent, I had another casting person like ask me about it. And I was like, oh, I've already been like I'm already in the process and whatnot. Like, oh, great, fantastic. So then even better. And
so the huntress was hunted.
Yeah, it was a combination of both.
Yeah, so I mean,
good
timing. So they got in touch with you. I mean, is that because they had like a certain number of types that they wanted to have in the show, and maybe they wanted a Latina or something like that? Is that why sort of you got approached? Do you know? Did you ever find that out?
I mean, when I received my my invitation, it was like, I think you'd be great for this, and it was on Facebook. I guess they saw my profile and whatnot. Like, I think, we think you'd be great for, this program or whatever, however they worded it. And would you be interested, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as everything went great from the beginning, all the process, they were very interested throughout the whole thing. And eventually when I got to the main guy, the producer, he said to me right away, as soon as I saw your tape, I said, I want this girl on, and just, I guess he just liked what he saw, I guess.
Had you watched the previous Tough Enoughs, the ones that were on MTV?
I actually hadn't. I had known a little bit about maybe one, but I actually had not.
I was going to say, because I'm kind of a bit of a Tough Enough geek, and I quite enjoyed, I really enjoyed the first three, and then there was the one they did on SmackDown as well, which was just for guys, and then there was this one that came out, and I was really looking forward to it as well. I mean, it being in the process of it, we hear a lot about reality TV sometimes quite maybe staged or maybe sort of arranged and things like that. I don't want to say it like that, but a bit artificial, I wanted to say. But from the inside, what was it like for you being on that show?
Well, it's crazy because there's a lot of things you can present a certain way that it's technically what happened, but editing is a powerful tool. Editing is a powerful tool. And I mean, there's so much footage that the very little that they end up picking to release is like nothing compared. Like you look and you're like, damn, really? That made it on TV? And this like other thing that happened that was like crazy or worth being on TV didn't, or like the way they'll portray something like, you could something could have happened and then they could have edited it and made it look like for an example, if I'm filming this right now and then they could edit it and make maybe an argument happened between me and Stuart, and they could edit it in some way and make it look like it was me and Lee, and it was like crazy. I couldn't even. It was like a big like mind-boggling thing for me to watch certain things and see it, and I was like, oh my god, they're gonna think this, like whoever's watching it are gonna think this, but really it wasn't like that, it was like this, or oh, they didn't see this part, they only saw this one, and it was like, oh, it was I'm not saying it was bad, I'm just saying it was just like it was just like that.
So did you watch it at the same time that everybody else was watching it then, or did you get a kind of a sneak preview of it?
No. I had to watch it at the same time that everyone else did.
And presumably, though, you couldn't talk about what was going to happen either. So, when people might be on social media going, "Oh man, I hope Ivelisse wins," you can't go, "Well, I don't."
Exactly. Yeah. We had to make sure that we didn't say anything unless the actual episode of whatever you wanted to talk about aired. Then I could talk about whatever happened and whatnot. So I had to wait all the way until my episode of when I got injured to explain my injury to people because they didn't even show the footage of when I got injured and the doctor diagnosing my injury and telling me I couldn't jump, I couldn't run, I couldn't do anything. So I'm like, so then I'm out of the competition. But they never said that. So I looked like a wimp throughout the ending of it because no one knew the gravity of my injury. Like I almost tore my whole muscle. And I still kept through like episodes and episodes, and I just kept tearing my muscle because I kept going, which in reality is like, damn, that girl's tough. But in how it was presented, it was like, oh, this girl's just whining about an injury that, you know, no one knew how grave it was, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point because I mean it was certainly clear that you had an injury, but the severity of that injury was never really properly discussed, if I remember correctly, anyway. And and you obviously did struggle quite a bit, especially towards the last couple of weeks. So, I mean, yeah, I can see your point there.
Yeah, I mean, I struggled. Even though I had an injury, I still kept up, and I was still able to present my technique and everything, and heart because I still did everything, and like I said, kept pulling my muscle and like, damn, somebody get me out of here because I'm gonna tear my leg off because I'm not gonna quit, and like, it just. And especially when I saw that specific episode, and I even saw one of the trainers say, like, I dare say she's like using as an excuse, or like, I forgot the word he used exactly, but like as if I was faking it or something. And then I have that being told about me, and then right the next second, oh my God, the other girl who was part of what happened where I got injured, is being told, oh, so much sportsmanship and da 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 da, and I was like, man, come on, it's like total opposite. Like, that was so frustrating to watch.
I was gonna say, I think most people's favorite bit of the show was the bit at the end of the show when Stone Cold would walk up and down the line and he would basically chew you all out. Yeah. I mean, how terrifying is that? I mean, were you really like, bricking it, or, tell us about that. Tell us what it was like.
Honestly, I was not, for whatever reason, I was not scared. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be intimidated, yeah. Which, I mean, it's hard for me to be, but that's not even the point. I was scared in the sense that I really don't want him to eliminate me, but I wasn't like scared of like, oh my God, he's gonna like say this, you're gonna say that. Like, I was ready for whatever was gonna come at me to come back, like with my answers or whatever. And if you noticed, he really didn't chew me out. Out of all the people that, from the eliminations and stuff like that, he didn't chew me out. And if you noticed, I barely said anything in the elimination process. Like, whenever I was asked something or told something, like, I just gave it, like, the only thing that they showed of my answers was on my injury, like on what's the pain level of your injury, and I said a number, and that was pretty much more or less it of all I said throughout my entire elimination process, when really it was like 2 hours of 3 of us were getting asked different questions, and my questions, they did not show him because I guess maybe they were, because he didn't chew me out when I answered my questions. Like, I guess there were... You
didn't make any stupid answers, I guess.
I guess, or whatever, like... And it kind of sucked because it's like, damn, like, I did good, and you don't show that. Like, man, that's... that's really frustrating.
Rewind just a sec. You did 3 hours. I mean, was that whole process then for each elimination, like, about 3 hours, then condensed into, like, 5 minutes on TV?
Yeah, it was a long time. And especially, like, standing up there, because I was in my boots, too. Like, well, they told me wear my boots, but, like, my leg, like, was killing me, and I was standing there for all that time. And I was shaking as I was standing there. like, because I kept trying, like, my whole hip is like swayed on one side because I'm trying to not put weight on my other leg, but putting so much weight on one leg is making that one hurt too. So I'm like pain, and I'm like, damn, like, oh, it was a long process, but yeah, it was kind of weird how that whole long process was like really, really short when it made TV.
Seems a bit harsh to have somebody who's got a leg injury stand up for 3 hours.
I mean, I don't think I'd say it was like maybe 2.
Oh, well, still quite a long time, yeah.
Still pretty bad.
But my thing though too was I like I said, my injury was really bad, but I tried really hard to cover it. Like they made it seem that, oh, I'm showing it too much. But if people would have known how bad my injury was, they would have been like, oh God, like she should be not walking, or she should be not, she should be crying or something or whatever. And like the one only time that I actually cried, and it wasn't even out of pain, it was out of like complete frustration, knowing that I'm gonna tear my leg off if I don't stop, but I can't stop because I was doing so well. And then, just that was a very frustrating moment for me. After working so hard, and then you're in that position, it was like really frustrating. But yeah.
In your post elimination interview, because there was only 2 women left at the time when you were there, and you were on the elimination process. So there was you and Christina as well. And after you were eliminated, you said that you wanted Christina to be eliminated soon. I mean, that happened in the end. But was there friction amongst yourself and some of the other contestants on the show?
Well, at that time, there's a lot of stuff that happened that wasn't aired. Like, obviously, from the get-go, me being there were, I would say, like, there was tension from the girls towards me because I guess they would see me as the biggest threat or whatever. So, and I would kind of just like, whatever, I don't want drama. Just kind of like, just keep doing my own thing. I'm here to win this thing. I'm not here to make friends or enemies, but, at the end, once it was only Christina, Rima, and me, there was a lot of kind of high school catty stuff going on where, the whole thing with 2 people team up and kind of try to gang up on someone or whatever. Especially if they see them as like a threat or whatever or whatnot. And there were a lot of stuff that happened with them and stuff that I was just, brushing off my shoulders and stuff. And once Rima left, that tension that they kind of like played themselves, kind of carried on and stayed then it was just me and Christina. So then it was just like, oh, so now that it's only you and me, now what? So that just kind of stayed from that, and it just kind of made it worse. And it kind of sucked because since the whole time since I was there, I always told everyone, like, let's just try to do the best we can. There's only a certain amount of girls, and we're going to be working with each other, so we have to try to make each other look good and blah, blah, blah. Like, I was never the type that was like, haha, I'm better than you, blah, 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 blah. I would just do what I do, and if I was better than them, then oh well, then it was. But at all times, I was always there trying to make it right and trying to like just be professional about all of that. And then once all the catty stuff came in, I was just like, oh man, I don't want no part of that. And then, like I said, it just kind of stayed with that. And towards the end, that's kind of what was presented, but they never showed why,
Even with all the editing, was the Ivelisse that we saw on TV the real Ivelisse?
Not at all. I kept, because, okay, at first I'm like, all right, I'm like this, I'm like that. I'm really blunt. I swear sometimes I'm, like, or whatever. Like I'm me, But at the same time, I'm still trying to get a job with WWE. So I got to try to be as professional as possible too. So I was constantly in a battle within myself to be myself because it's a show and it's a reality show, and that's why they got me, because they liked my personality of me and who I am. But I also kept trying to remind myself, hey, you're here to get a job too. You're here to get a job. You're on a show, which is supposed to be great and good and show your personality because that's why they got you. But at the same time, hey, you're here for a job, so try to make sure you're as professional as possible. So it was like, so I ended up like completely hindering my personality to try to be as professional and correct and political as possible all the time. So I kind of regret that, or not regret, but that kind of sucked, I guess.
It was interesting the way you just termed it there. You're here for a job. Is that the way you saw it? I mean, obviously for Tough Enough, a lot of independent wrestlers would, give their left leg for a shot in WWE, and it's a dream for them, and it's something that they hold on to really tightly. When you were trying out for Tough Enough, was it just a job, and if this works, this will be great, or were you really holding on to it at that point?
I saw it as an opportunity, I had a tryout where I got flown to Tampa before that Tough Enough thing, and nothing really happened of it. So when that happened of the Tough Enough thing, I'm like, all right, this is another chance to like show them what's up, and that I should be here, be there. And I saw it as a job opportunity. In my mind, I'm like, well, if something happens and I get eliminated, you still leave an impression, So I wanted to make sure that even if I didn't make it to the end for whatever reason, I would have at least made an impression to still have that possibility open to get a job, which is why I made that decision to try to be as politically correct and, professional at all times as possible within that show and competition.
How did you find Trish Stratus to work with?
She was awesome. She was, there was always so much tension every day there that every time that I got the opportunity to talk with her, she was, close to us. We're always like, oh, so refreshing, breath of fresh air. 'Cause she was so nice, so supportive, and, and it was a real joy to have her there. Really encouraging.
Yeah, it's funny because she was recently a guest on Steve Austin's podcast, and they were sort of running through what some of the people had been doing since Tough Enough, and both Steve and Trish, they both sort of had nothing but good things to say about you, and that you were out there still doing your thing, and it must be nice to know that that those people who are really influential people in wrestling in general still have your back. Yeah,
man, that I can't even explain how much that means to me, especially after everything that's happened, which I can't, I would obviously, I'm talking about from the release, but I can't really get into much of that. But that obviously just shows that, really, do I really have a bad attitude? If I did, then that wouldn't happen, what you just said right now, like I'm so grateful and so appreciative of them, saying good things about me. And I didn't know about the podcast until like a couple of people had tweeted me about it, and I'm like, what? So I went on and I went to the podcast and listened to it, and it was awesome podcast, by the way. It's so funny, but yeah, when that part came out, I just started smiling. I was like, oh, thank you, yay. That is definitely appreciated.
So you didn't win Tough Enough, much to your disappointment. So you headed back home to Chicago, and it was a few months before you get a call, from what I understand. Was that a difficult time at that point? Did you kind of have in the back of your head that maybe they'll call? Did anyone tell you, make sure you don't do anything else, we'll call you? Or what was it left after Tough Enough?
You don't know. You don't know anything. You don't know nothing. I just try to make sure all the other times, like after everything was filmed from Tough Enough, also like the appearances we made for like the premiere of the show or the finale and just everything all the way down to the finale. Any kind of chance that I had that I was seen, I try to make 100% sure that I could make an impression somehow, you know, network, talk my way to whoever I need to talk to. Hey, this, that, you know, and try to present myself in a way that could land me a job, you know, even though I didn't win. I try to be confident about it too. And I try to make 100% sure that I would do that. And still, I mean, nothing is like, you know, right away, snap of a finger, oh, you're going to get it, you know, right away. But I kept getting more advice from other wrestlers or like ex WWE, you know, former WWE talent or whatever, just as much advice as I possibly could. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I just did it all. I called every other day, call again. Oh, we'll call you this, that. Nope. Call again until I finally got the damn contract. And
you bothered them to the point where they give you a contract.
Kind of, because I mean, I was told that just do it. Don't wait until they forget about Tough Enough, and then it's like, oh wait, who's that girl or whatever? Just like keep going, keep bothering, and like at that point, what do I have to lose? You know,
True.
I don't have anything to lose and everything to gain, so why not? Until it's not like they're telling me stop calling, you know. So I was told, and like I said, it was also former WWE talent that were telling me this, like that, and also that they had that same type of experience where they had to do that or whatever. So I was like, well, whatever, screw it. What, like I said, what do I have to lose? Just do what you got to do, you know. And thankfully it happened, and I was once that call hit end, I started screaming and running up and down the stairs, and God, finally, you know, after everything, and because I sacrificed a lot, and it's really bitten me in the ass throughout my life, for many reasons, personal reasons, which would take forever to go into right now, but it felt like a really good moment when that happened.
Now, correct my timeline if I'm wrong here. I might be, but they ended up signing a few of the girls out of Tough Enough. Were you the last one that was signed?
I was the only one that was signed that wasn't signed to WWE before Tough Enough.
Oh, of course, that's what it was, yeah. So, yeah, there were these other girls who had also lost the competition, but they were already in developmental.
Yeah. Christina was already in developmental before she did the Tough Enough, and Ariane had her contract before she was signed to Tough Enough to do the Tough Enough thing, so she had her contract guaranteed anyway. But yeah, I was the only girl who was signed, and I would say from the girl or guy side, other than the winner, you know. So.
Was that difficult then, going from being a competitor with Christina to then, you know, really becoming colleagues?
Was that awkward?
Yeah.
Like I said, I professionally speaking, I don't care about drama, catty stuff, and whatever. So like that was a whole different thing. I tried my best to try to approach every like wrestling related situation in a professional manner. So once I got down there, I did the exact same thing of what I know. Just try to work with the person in a professional manner. We don't have to be best friends. If you don't like me, that's cool. But I'm here to work. Like, and I even conversations that we had, or getting through that awkward stage to becoming colleagues or whatever. I had told her, I'm like, we don't have to be best friends, but I'm here to work, and I'm here to bring out the best of you, and let's do this. I can put personal things aside when we're here to work, and you don't have to like me, and then we were cool.
You had your name changed as well to Sofia Cortez for NXT. Of course, that was always going to happen. But is there any reason for the name Sofia? Was that one that you chose, or was that one that they gave to you?
It was I actually had a couple of names at first that were kind of cool that I wish I could have used, but apparently they told me that apparently they were too complicated for an audience.
Like what?
Because they were Spanish names. So yeah, basically telling me that they were too complicated. So I had to dumb them down as much as possible. So I'm like, okay, so Sofia Cortez it is. Can't get any more basic than that. So I'm like,
what were some of the more complicated ones then?
For the most part, I wanted to try to really emphasize the Spanish side of me, so I wanted to use Catalina de Leon. Let me see what other.
That's a really nice name. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have really liked to use my name too, but obviously they wouldn't. They wouldn't let me use that. But I don't know. I don't remember. Let me see. I don't remember. That's the one that stood out to me because that's the first one that I wanted to use. And they're like, no, it's too many syllables and blah, 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 too hard for the announcers to pronounce and blah, blah, blah. I was like, what? Okay, cool. I was like, well, what about Alberto del Rio? You know? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, of course, because I'm a girl. No. Great. Cool. No problem. Sofia Cortez it is.
You're lucky you got a surname, quite frankly.
Yeah, that is true. Usually they don't. I actually want to speak about someone who hasn't got a surname in NXT, but it was like the time in NXT where I enjoyed you and her together very much, and that was when you were teaming with Paige, and you guys were doing the anti-diva movements. Tell us about working with Paige.
Yeah, Paige came in a little bit after I had come in. I'd say a couple, 2-3 months after I had come in. Her and I, at first, I was told, oh, she can wrestle, this and that, and I was like, oh, cool, great, awesome, because I really need some help as far as like trying to, because it's kind of a little overwhelming to be the only person, you know, there that can go and or whatever, as far as like with the most, you know, with experience, and that don't, you know, to be relied upon for everything. And
what you're saying is there's only so many times you can wrestle Christina Crawford before you want to kill yourself. That's what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. So we just and she was she's really young, so I was like, oh, cool, that's great. And I saw that her wrestling style wasn't like girly and whatever, so I was like, oh, cool, so something that's similar, at least that part of the style or whatever. And we just kind of hit it off. We became pretty good friends, and I thought in my head, I'm like, okay, well, if I take her under my wing and I kind of like, and both of us kind of, you know, two is better than one, you know. And there wasn't really much going on as far as tag teaming is concerned for the women's division for NXT. So I was like, I just thought it'd be a great idea. And then I thought it was great too that we both stood out in those terms of our style, our wrestling style being, you know, being aggressive and whatever. So I just thought that it was going to be cool for both of us to come together and capitalize on our differences from the other girls. And I had already been lurking and trying to figure out what could I use as a nickname anyway, because I was sure that I wasn't going to be able to use the Huntress. I guess I thought maybe, but I thought because of like Marvel or whatever, like the Huntress, the character of, or whatever. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to find a different one. So I was just kind of like, well, I'm definitely anti the whole diva mentality of all that. And I had already established myself as anti, the diva mentality from Tough Enough. Like in all my interviews and everything like that, I was very bold and blunt about my opinions about it. So I just thought of the anti-diva, and I was like, you know what, let's both be anti-divas and let's just kind of run with it and take everything, take everything around us by storm with it, and let's just make the best of it. And it stuck. Crazy. It's crazy because I thought they'd be like, yeah, right. No, you're a diva, and I don't care, or blah blah blah. And especially when I would make my promos in promo class and whatnot, and I was very blunt still with that type of persona. And I would be, like I said, I'd be told, no, you're too rough, or no, blah blah blah. So I was like, but still, I went on and let's do it, and then they liked it. So and that was cool. It had a nice little run, but then when they moved to NXT, they separated us, and that's when I got released. So there goes that.
Yeah.
Just on a side note, I mean, you mentioned the promo classes there. I mean, a couple of the videos did get leaked onto YouTube quite recently. It was quite interesting to take a look at them. How does that work? Is it a case you just all sort of meet up on a day, and you just kind of, if you've had ideas, you try to run them on a camera and see how they work?
Really? I'd really like to see some of those videos.
Oh, they got taken down quite quickly.
Damn. Well, yeah, it's everyone comes together, and they have a stage set up, and you go up there, and it's kind of like a skit. You either do your promo or whatever's asked of you, and that's pretty much how it goes.
Do you get a chance to bring forward ideas yourself, or are you directed pretty much in what they want you to say?
It's a mixture of both. Most of the time, it's a free day. Free for you to present whatever you want, anything at all. But then sometimes you have to do whatever's asked of you.
Sure. I mean, you were getting good reviews for your work down in NXT. I mean, people who had seen you, they were saying good things about you, and people were saying that, you were, basically the next one who should be called up to the main roster. Then all of a sudden, you were gone. I mean, I don't know what you can and can't talk about with regards to that, but give us an idea, if you can, about your reaction immediately. Like, did you see this coming? Did you know there was trouble in the air, or did this come out of nowhere?
As soon as Dr. Tom was not there anymore, I already saw something lurking. I was like, oh, my days here are limited. Because if you notice, if you notice specifically in Tough Enough, there's a certain person that didn't really like me very much. So like I said, I was like, ooh, I gotta really try to really get to the main roster as soon as I possibly can, because otherwise I'm probably gonna be out of the NXT or FCW at that time or whatnot. And little by little, as you know it, everything just kind of was falling apart in one place, but going up in another. So because since it was in that transition at FCW, it was everything was falling apart for me. But once the times that I was at NXT, it was like great, awesome, great things going. And like right before I was gonna be released, there was plans for a certain package for me and plans for me, and it just went all to crap. And I can't really get into much detail about why. I mean, I can, but
you're choosing not to at this point.
It's probably not a good idea for future plans.
I'd rather not, for many, many reasons.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, one of the things that was put out at the time, and again, it was reported around the internet as you had attitude problems, and you mentioned that earlier on because obviously you've heard of the stories. But you have mentioned a few times during the interview, and I mean, I actually really like that about how you're discussing stuff with us. But you've mentioned a few times that you're quite blunt. Do you just think it's a case of like the attitude problems were just your bluntness being misinterpreted by somebody, or do you think it was being deliberately misinterpreted by somebody, who didn't like you?
Definitely the last option. I'm blunt in my personal life. No. I'm blunt. I'm blunt in my personal life. That's just me. That's just my personality. But when it comes to wrestling and when it comes to my career, I put that in the back burner and I try to, I become the executive. I'm professional. I'm polished and, thank God, I'm able to be that chameleon. But when it comes to my character, I try to emphasize, you know how they always say, like, your character is just like your alter ego or you amplified by 20 or whatever.
Sure.
So that's what my character, what I would do with my character. Whenever it was like, all right, fine, I'm just going to be myself because this is so confusing in the sense of like, we want you to be like this, we want you to be like that, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, all right, fine, I'm just going to be me and whatever. Let's just, and nobody really said anything until the end, or I guess until like in the beginning, like with my character, they loved it. Like my first promo, boom, was like straight up, like my character and like straight up at me amplified, blunt, like everything, attitude, blah, blah, blah. And boom, it was like, oh, that was awesome. Like my first promo, that was awesome. Da, da, da. Everyone working, everyone talking about it. Like that was great. Like no one expected that. Like usually not many girls have like that great of a promo in their first, their first promo or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like all these good things about that in particular. The only time it ever became an issue was towards the end. And there were reasons behind that or reasons for that. Which led to the release. But like I said, I didn't have any problems when it came to that until close to the end.
Close to the end, yeah. I mean, when we reported that story back when it first came out, it was Lee that wrote this. I'm going to jump in here and take his great point, but
please do, go ahead.
The thing with attitude issues, assuming that, that's what it is, or that's what was perceived, I mean, you'd think a company like WWE would offer advice and guidance on how to change that, because, that seems like an easier way than just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was just ridiculous to me. Like, whoever said that or whoever came up with that or whoever, like, it's ridiculous because out of all the things that I brought to the table, that one thing, if it really was the attitude or whatever, blah, 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 like, however it was perceived,
yeah.
Like, out of that one thing, I'm just going to be thrown into the gutter. Out of that one thing that could be fixed pretty easily, like by talking to me like a normal human being.
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
It was like throughout, like since the beginning when I was there, like anything that would come up, Dr. Tom would be like, hey, is there something going on? Blah, blah, blah. Talk to me like a normal human being. And then he could understand if something was, like I said, if he perceived something a certain way, he made sure he'd talk to me. He'd ask me, hey, something wrong? Da, 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 or something, whatever. No, not at all. Blah, blah, blah. We'd talk like two normal human beings. Oh, okay. And now it's understood, which is the case anywhere you go. But like I said, only towards the end, like months or whatever of my career was when that whole communication or that whole craziness of like just happened and it just completely broke me down. One thing is for sure, I'm professional as possible, but when something wrong is going on or when something bad is how can I say? What's wrong is wrong. And if someone's trying to do wrong to me, I have to stand up for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, all I can say is that that's all I did. I tried to stand up for myself, and somehow, some way, I got released. That's just pretty much how I can sum it up.
Okay, well, we'll move on from that rather than beat that dead horse any longer. But I mean, the other thing that we really need to talk about is something that you've been doing since that, apart from obviously working Shine and Perez del Mal and Puerto Rico and so on. You've also been involved peripherally with TNA. You were a Gutcheck competitor a few months ago, and you had a match with Lady Tappa.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about, first of all? I know you'd done a dark match with TNA, like, just before you started working with Shine against Tara. Did that kind of put you on their radar, and then they invited you back, or how did that come about?
Yeah, I guess you could say that pretty much so. I had that tryout match with Tara, and yeah, I guess that put me under their radar, and then I was called to do the Gutcheck. I kind of, not long after the tryout, I was already told that there was possibilities to do something with me for a Gutcheck, possibly, maybe. And then eventually it came up, and then I had that Gutcheck that Gutcheck match or whatever competition process, and I had nothing but good things said to me the entire time dealing with TNA, and enough so that even though I didn't win the contract for the Gutcheck for the TNA, I was set to do some pay-per-views. Pay-per-views. I'm so used to saying pay-per-views because I just some pay-per-views.
Yeah, the tape pay-per-views you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, which haven't aired yet, but yeah, we'll
see that in due course. Yeah. What was your mentality going into the Gutcheck then? I mean, I think as far as fans were concerned, a lot of fans sort of thought that, you know, the Gutcheck was going to be the focus on you, and Lady Tappa was kind of like the other competitor, but, you know, it was really all about you. And I don't mean that to be in any way disrespectful to Lady Tappa, but I think a lot of people thought that, you know, you were the person that, if anybody was going to win it, it was going to be you. And in fact, when you had the match that week, you went over in the match as well. And then you came back the next week for the evaluation, and then things went wrong. I mean, did something change in that week? Like, did they change in that week? Did they think, okay, actually, maybe we don't want anything to do with Ivelisse at the minute?
I have no idea. I have no clue whatsoever. Everything went great throughout since the beginning, so I have no idea what changed at all. I really couldn't tell you, but I know that a lot of people had a lot to say as far as like they thought I should have won and all that, and even like bring back signs in TNA are still being put up on Impact Live. I think it's been already 3 times already. But I really felt like they could have gotten both of us, and they could have gained a lot from both of us in different ways. Unfortunately, it didn't happen that way, but I felt like I was ready. Like I feel like I'm ready now, and they have to develop. You know, she still has more stuff to learn, even though she has great potential, which is the reason why I say that they could benefit from both of us in different ways. She has a lot of potential. She has a good attitude and everything. So I could see the potential there. But it didn't happen that way.
The funny thing about I say funny, it probably wasn't very funny for you, but it was the moment where it was decided backstage that you wouldn't be going forward for the evaluation, and there was this look on your face. And like we know that we've gained from this interview that you're not one to hide your feelings, and that was very evident in the look on your face. You just look at it and said, this place. There was. What were you thinking at that moment? What were your feelings?
Trust me. I held my feelings in.
It looked like it.
I didn't know what to do because I wanted to let my emotions go so bad and just like, whatever, just whatever, what's done is done. Just react, you know? But again, you have to, it's not the end yet, you know, like you still have to make an impression regardless what happens, like at all times. So like at first, like, cause it, you know, like coming off from what happened in WWE and then having that happen, like it was just that more like, gotta be kidding me.
Not again.
You know? Yeah, that was my reaction. And then I'm just like, like for like 2-3 seconds. And then I'm just like, okay, time to be political. All right, shake hand.
That's the equivalent of someone else applauding when someone else wins an Oscar.
I guess. You
gotta look happy at least, or at least try to look happy for the other person.
I guess. I mean, because the thing is, it's such a blank role to be in because I was a face. I was a face when I did the match, but I'm also, my character is very, very confident, very expressive, and you know, so like. I didn't know how to react. Like, you might say that it was a very expressive reaction, but to me, it was like a poker face because I didn't know how to react. I really didn't know how to react. I didn't know how to take it. I didn't know how to react, and it's just like but I will say it definitely was a you gotta be kidding me type of moment there where I didn't know how to react.
We definitely got that vibe, yeah. Really interesting thing as well, and it was actually talked about on commentary as well. You had been scheduled to make your mixed martial arts debut on the same night that the initial Gutcheck match was recorded. Tell us about your interest in MMA. I mean, you've had to put off your debut. Is there any chance that you're going back to that?
I've always been a fan of mixed martial arts. I watch quite often MMA, and I'm definitely a fan. I have trained a little bit. I don't like to try to be, braggadocious. It's like, I'm a beast and this and that. I mean, I'm confident, but I would have a hell of a world to learn. As far as that, usually when I'm training and stuff, I get told good things, and that I learn quick and certain, good pointers, like there is potential and stuff. But unfortunately, I had to give up that date for my MMA debut. It was the second time that I was of my attempt. It was a second attempt to debut at an MMA event because when I was in Chicago, I was going to debut, but then the Tough Enough thing came along. So then I was going to debut in MMA, and then TNA came along, and then that thing happened from that. So it's just like, God, But yeah.
Do you think it's going to happen?
Huh?
Do you think it's going to happen?
What? Right. Well, right now I'm really far from that. I'm so. Right now, I'm still trying to heal up. I'm not really, really injured, but I'm trying to heal up some little bothersome body parts.
Injuries.
Nagging, that's the correct word. Some nagging injuries. Since I've been wrestling for so long, it's just kind of like it does a number on you, and I'm trying to heal that up. If I were to, I'd have to be like fully healed and me feeling like I'm fully capable to be inside a cage and fight to my best of my ability. But right now after everything that's happened, I'm just interested in just training and no MMA debut in the near future, at least.
Fair enough. Let's finish up then with just a quick mention of the fact that it may not have worked out as far as the Gutcheck was concerned for you, but you have been back in TNA since. Done a couple of taped pay-per-views, part of the Knockouts Only pay-per-view, which is you against Lady Tappa again,
yeah.
And also part of the TNA World Cup, Were you a part of the Aces and Eights?
Yeah. Hey, no spoilers.
Hey, it's taped months ago. I know. These things are supposed to be timeless, and it's not that real.
I'm really excited about that, though. I really, really, really want the World Cup pay-per-view to air already, because I was really excited about that. I really looked, once that happened, I was like, oh man, come on, just continue this storyline of me being the first Aces and Eights chick, and also my match versus Mickie James, current TNA champion, knockouts champion. Like I really am excited about that airing.
Okay, well, I mean, I think the knockouts one's going to air in September. The World Cup one I don't know about yet, but I'm sure it will come soon enough. We'll keep people updated on that one. But those are in the future, and much closer to home is this weekend on WWNlive.com, just to bring it all back full circle. Shine's first anniversary. If you want to go and tune in, put your money down to see Ivelisse win the first Shine Championship.
Hell yeah.
This is your opportunity, WWNlive.com. Ivelisse, thanks very much for giving us a good chunk of your time tonight. Very much appreciated it. And